Hello and welcome to this first look exploring session looking at the birth of Hercules. And I'm sure everyone is looking forward to some Herculean action from Hercules, who will be definitely birthing any time now. Don't have a lot on this play. It's sometime in the 16 noughties. It's probably got come from a university in some fashion, possibly Cambridge, but I'm not sure that we have a lot to go on here, apart from to say that it's a manuscript copy. It wasn't published anywhere. It's pretty much a two-horse race for the opening of this reading, but we're going to get those horses moving at a fair old canter. Not I'm referring to my lovely readers here as horses at all. That is in no way a reflection of them or their abilities. But coming up to the first furlong, reading Sosia is...
Hi, I'm Desna in Lancaster.
Reading Dromio is...
Hi, I'm David in London.
Reading Alcumena is...
Hi, I'm Eric. I'm the Greek mythology nerd in the group, along with Liza, and pretty much... Well, I mean, anyway, I'll be quiet now.
We all love a bit of mythology. Reading Mercury and Amphitrio, if we get that far, is...
Hi, I'm Greg. Well, if they're the Greek mythology, I'd better be the Roman history nerd.
Yes, you might need a little bit of that as well. And reading Prologue, Jupiter, and if we get that far, also reading Thessala is... muted at present.
Liza Graham, who can talk in London.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I'll be reading stage directions and generally moving us forward. I think I went through everyone. It's not a large room. How could I forget anyone? So, before we get into the action, we have a prologue. So, if I could ask our prologue to prologue away, please.
I am a prologue. Should I not tell you so, you would scarce know me. 'Tis so long ago since prologues were in use. Men put behind now that they were wont to put before. The epilogue is in fashion, prologues no more. But as an old city woman well becomes her white cap still, an old priest his shaved crown, across an old church door, so well befits a prologue an old play. And this is old, so old as none is more. First played in Athens in the Grecian tongue, since 5 times played in Latin and in Rome. There 'tis been clapped by consuls and emperors. Then if it like not you, blame not the comedy, but the poet, the actors, yourselves, or all three. And mark you that it is a comedy, or tragic comedy, call it what you will. 'Tis no historic ballet, nor Bocca's tale, nor no pleasant new interlude, no pretty toy, no pestered device with actors crowded in, drums, ensigns, fifes, targets, and rusty swords, as far from hence as devils or inkhorn words. But all was said, when it was said, 'twas old. The worse, says some. He is not old that says so. The better, must he say, that would be so. And why the worse? Because old things are stale? Women, perhaps, houses, garments, and old ale. But what say you to old gold? What to old honesty, old faith and troth, better than 20 bonds, old charity, old hearty sport and merriment? Oh, had you seen the world when Grand Dame Joan did call your grandsire John, and he was well content. Some will not like these same translated things, meaning by plays, for a translated suit will like them wondrous well. But let them know our poet's author himself translated it. some for adding to it and altering it must be offended, which for your sake our poet did. Yet no injustice neither unto his author, who hath done the like himself to others in many comedies, in his Asindria, Tessina, Mercator, Epidicius, and after him Terence in Formio and Eunuchus. Besides, French and Italians do the same. Some will condemn as unfitting heathen mouth the use of Christian asseverations, which use let us excuse. So in this play, our author, sometimes yielding to form, swears by Hercules ere Hercules was born. But our poet looks not to do more than love himself, who reign he or should he up pleases not all, 'tis enough if he please some. And so much might this comedy more pleasing be, because it patterns out a high mystery. Ooh. But one thing he bade me tell you, do him this, and he craves no pardon for his next amiss.
And we'll pause there. This is the first prologue, by the way. There's another prologue, but this is a general prologue about how prologues are a thing. Yes, just explaining, it's an old play. Apparently, it's an old play. Apparently, this play is quite old.
It's pretty old.
But it was old before it was old, so it's fine. That's the logic there.
And prologues are out of fashion now, apparently. It's all about epilogues.
Yeah, which seems to be a thing that pops up in certain Cambridge-based plays around about the same time. So I don't know whether it's a universal thing or whether it just seems to be that they can't be bothered with them in Cambridge, because prologues come with a certain amount of baggage, you know, the whole cloak thing, and they have a visual signal, and it might be that around the turn of the 17th century that it just gets a bit old hat and just goes with, and it's also the time when you're getting a lot of not prologues, the inductions turning up in boys' company plays and things. So it might be that people are getting bored of the old. Liza.
I'm reminded of the Parnassus plays, which in every single Parnassus play, someone tries to give a prologue and either gets carried off stage by an angry mob or forgets their lines and gets pelted with fruit, or, you know, there's no, it's always like prologus interruptus with those, and maybe they were making fun of an out-of-date custom.
Yeah, it looks like that. You know, I'm sure a lot of people have seen some very bad prologues at this point, so it might be something along those lines. Any other thoughts? Otherwise, we'll dive into the next prologue, which I think is more plot-based, and probably from the thing this is translated from. Eric?
I do like how you get a sort of like the translation, or at least the person who gives the prologue, is aware that our author, sometimes yielding to form, swears by Hercules, but he wasn't born yet. So it's kind of like it's a lot like the sort of mystery cycles and stuff where they like Jesus hasn't been born yet, but he kind of like they kind of go, oh, by Christ, or whatever, the, you know, by God and all that stuff, and it's like.
It's worse. He hasn't been born yet. They're going by Christ's passion, and I'm going, oh, Matt, look, choose a cheerful part of his life story to go from. You know, he's
too soon, dude.
Yeah.
Too soon.
Too soon. Poor lamb. But yeah, absolutely, it's exactly like that kind of thing. And yeah, I think enjoying that very much. So it's very much in translation, and yeah, so I think this is where we now enter the action of the play, and we have Mercury's prologue.
You would think it were day. Now I am sure. No, it is night. Or at least, and you be good fellows, think so for this once, so perhaps you would take me for a man. But you are deceived, for I am a god, and that by this good night. Yet I do not wonder you would mistake me, for unless it be the masking god Cupid, you may well have heard of the old gods. But I think it is a good while since you see any of us. Well, You are like to see two of us tonight, and you will at least, and you will not, you may choose. My father, Jupiter, and myself, Merry Mercury, was one of the maddest pranks that ever my father and I played. And yet, if you will believe in the poet's gospel, we have played 100th in our days. The place where we are now is Thebes, and this is Amphitrio, his house, a great lord of this country, under King Creon, and now and at this instant his deputy general of his army against the Telebians, anyway, upon whom he hath gotten a notable victory. In this meantime, my father Jupiter hath having taken upon him his shape, plays his deputy here at home, with his wife, fair Alcumena, who verily takes him for her husband, and he, by the advantage of the night, makes her believe that for her sake he stole away a purpose from his army, but must be gone again in any wise, to be there by break of day. Indeed, he could not stay longer because Amphitrio is coming home. In this meanwhile, Amphitrio sends home to his lady a messenger of his good success. And after him, another for fail. And by tomorrow will be here himself. But this is my office to send them back again, as wise as they came for disturbing of my father. And to do him such other services as you shall see hereafter, till his business be dispatched. To this purpose have I made myself as like Sosia, the first of these messengers, as is possible, and am taken here in the house for the very same. And I can but smile to see how kind Alcumena's waiting woman, Thessala, is to me, thinking surely that I am her love, Sosia. But that you may know her asunder, I will know where in my hat a piece of feather for a difference, and the same difference shall be betwixt my father and Amphitrio, which none else shall perceive but you. And here comes in my image to begin withal. Now mark the sequel, and tell me, when we have done, whither I and my father plays, or well, no.
Yes, slight awkwardness in the text there. Anyway, we'll go straight into Act 1, Scene 1, as Sosia enters to Mercury.
Am not I a bold slave, that knowing fashions as I do, dare alone adventure abroad thus late in the night? What if I should meet with ye watch, and Master Constable should come and examine me? What are you, sir? A gentleman, say I at the least. Well, he makes no question of it. And yet I make a question whither I shall fare the better for it. Then from whence come you? I tell him, and he believes me not. Or say I tell him not, but give the base fellow cross language and ask him, what skills you? How dare you be so bold as examine any of the king's servants? For so I may make him believe. Then he, meaning Master Constable, lays the king's servant, meaning me, in the jail.
Where wilt thou wish the twice I believe to be from hence, yet ere thou goest?
I am that which is worse. What if the peasant, having a knavish sconce like mine, come and flout me when he hath done, and ask me where the king's servant should be lodged, but in the king's own house? I' faith, then I have made a fair travel of it. Yet, forsooth, I must be needs be gone by night, and might not be suffered to stay till morning. This it is to serve great men. They know much we labour is, and they regard as much what thine is, and yet there is ever about them something to do, and done it must be. There is no remedy.
It is no wonder to see a base servant at any time contented, but if to him speak well of his master.
Well, it is some ease to my mind that my master would rather countenance me with ye message than that ill-fast rascal Dromio, who had more need to be well countenanced than I, though I say it myself.
as good as your countenance is, I doubt not but to see the copy of it altered ere you and I part.
'Tis late night, and methinks I feel in myself more than ordinary devotion. I had not a better mind to my prayers a great while, and I must needs confess I pray so seldom, that if a mischief should befall me tonight, it is no more than I have well deserved.
Aye, now the villain is afraid. Now he remembers God. This is just the fashion of men nowadays. Yet it is well he can acknowledge what he is worthy of.
Sosia, pluck up a good heart. Dost thou not come from the wars? Is not victory on thy side? Aye, such victory as who could ever have hoped for? Our enemies, who were in number above us, utterly overthrown by the good conduct of our noble general. The story of which overthrow I am to deliver to his lady and my mistress, which is the cause of my coming hither at this time. But I had best first call it to mind by myself, that it be done without haggling before her, least so I disgrace myself in the presence of my best beloved and most sweet Thessala. After we came on land, an ambassador was dispatched to the enemy to require restitution of such things as they had taken from us, and on that condition to offer them peace, otherwise war. They denied restitution. Hereupon followed war. The armies were brought forth on both sides. I stood a quarter of a mile behind a hill from whence I might easily discover what was done, and that with double advantage. For if we got the day, I was sure to be one of the first at ransacking the tents, while others were occupied in pursuing them that fled. If we lost it, I had a fair start of the rest for running away. But, by the mass, I must take heed of stumbling upon this before my lady and mistress, so were I quite shamed forever. No, I was by madam an eyewitness, though not a very nigh witness of all. The sign being given and the alarum sounded, both armies joined together. There was heaving and shoving, killing and slaying, but in a small time the enemy began to fly so fast that where I was a-fighting, I found not one man to resist me. All this while I am sure I lie not.
No, I dare answer for thee.
They fled in the chase, Amphitrio, my lord, our worthy general, killed King Pterolas himself, hand to hand. The fight lasted from morning till night. Well fare all good tokens. For that day I went without my dinner, and with the approach of night the pursuit ended. The next day the whole city came out barefoot and bareheaded to yield themselves and all they had into our hands, and to our lord Amphitrio for his spacious desert they presented a goodly cup, the same that their king he slew was wont to drink in. And so now I see I am ready in my tale. I will hasten home while it is fresh in my memory, lest I forget it again.
Now he is coming hither. I will meet him halfway. And if he come any nearer these doors at this time, let Mercury be believed on his word no more. I must have a little sport with him, and as I am like him in shape, so will I for this once be content to become like him in manners too. I mean as craftier.
Jibing. I think it's jibing.
Jibing, sorry. Yeah, that makes sense. Where should I get back to? So, will I for this once be content to be him like manners too? I mean, as crafty a jibing knave as he, for there is the credit to put a man down at his own weapon. But methinks he stands gazing up so earnestly, he hath spied some wonder in the element. I will lay my life, it is the man in the moon.
Is the moon and the stars sleep drunk tonight? No, trow we. The 7 stars. Charles wane, ye planets move not a whit, and day seems as far off now as it did 8 hours ago.
Night, go on, and favour my father's pleasure still. Canst not do service good night to a better man.
I have found the reason now, I'll lay my life on it, and the moon and her company be not drunk now. At least the sun was drunk yesternight, and that makes him lie in bed so long this morning.
The villain thinks the immortal gods to be like himself. But 'tis all one, that is, he shall have one reckoning for all and none.
Ha! Where are those good fellows now that lie alone because they cannot choose, for want of a bedfellow? This were no night for a man to lie with a wench in.
Oh, the villain speaks wisely. And according to his counsel, my father hath chosen this night to lie with his mistress in.
Well, I will home. But what's he, methinks, I see at the door at this time of night? I do not like it.
As faint-hearted a villain as he lives again.
Who can tell whither I now, wanting a lodging, he be one of those that will entertain a man of free cost at the sign of the cudgel? Or, it may be, he is some pitiful gentleman that, knowing my master hath made me watch for the one half of the night, he will be so good as lay me asleep for the other. I do not like his look. For the love of God, what a sturdy knave it is to see to.
In good time, sir. Well, now will I advance my voice a little, that he may. In faith, gentle cudgel, you have done me service. Speak of this month. Much about that time it was when you laid nine asleep together.
His cudgel and he are very familiar, as it seems. I pray God I not be drawn into their acquaintance too. Let me see, it has laid 9 asleep, as he says already. If he should take me up for a tithed goose or so, to make up the 10th.
I will stay no longer.
It is even as I said. What the devil shall I do?
He shall never escape my fingers.
Whom doth he mean, think ye?
Oh, whoever comes next in my walk, he shall have cudgelling his belly full.
I do not love to eat thus late in the night. He may do well to bestow his alms on them that be hungry.
Ah! 'Tis a cudgel for the nonce. 'Tis not a hair lighter than it should be.
No, he hath weighed it. The next thing he has to do is to measure it upon my shoulder.
What if I give him but a gentle blow to cast him in a slumber?
Then he saves my life, for what I want nothing but sleep.
But what talk I of this? My cudgel, I know, cannot give a gentle blow. It never touched mine yet, but it married the fashion of his face.
That's well. Then belike I am to have a new face. I had even as live keep my old still, though it none be of the best. This were the only fellow in the world for Dromio to meet with all. He is sure he cannot have a worse. At a venture, would he were now in my room.
God, my cudgel is a wood mad to be at him.
And be so mad, would you tame it a little on the walls first, ere it bite my shoulder?
Is there not a voice come flying to my ears?
Has my voice wings, then? And had I had known so much before, I would have dipped them by my voice's leave.
It is some villain, sure, that I must be fain to lade with blows.
A good jest. I can scarce go empty. I am so weary. How shall I do, think ye, when I am laden?
Hark! Methinks I hear some saucy fellow talking.
And his name be Saucy, good enough. My name is Sosia.
Oh, I see him now. Here. He comes towards me.
Begin to feel myself in a monstrous evil taking. I must needs confess I can scarce tell where I am. As for my lord's message, that's scared out of my head by this time, but yet I will set a good face on it, and speak as well as my heart will give me leave, to make him the more unwilling to meddle with me.
Sir, will the walk you there? You with the horn and the lantern.
A man might break a jest now, and it was so convenient, and stay home, and you will. But lantern in your face. But I will forbear for this once, yet he shall not go unanswered neither. Sir, what have you to do that are a maker of new faces?
Oh, Stella, tell me in few words, from whence you come, whose you are, and whither you go.
In as few as you would wish, sir. I come from thence, sir. I am my master's man, and I am going hither. I think you are answered.
Answered indeed after a fashion, but I will bridle with that tongue of yours, and ye answer me no handsomer.
You seem to mistake me, sir. I am no horse that my tongue should be bridled.
I believe I shall make your horse or some such thing. You know my meaning. Yet ere you and I part,
Ha ha ha, he, I dare say you mean an ass, sir.
I am glad you are merry, sir, but you will tell, I am sure, for all this, what business you have here.
Nay then, sir, what business have you here?
I will not stick to tell you, sir. I am one of ye watch appointed here for this night.
'Tis well done. When enemies are abroad, watch and ward should be kept at home. But in faith, Master Watchman, and you be a good fellow, tell them within that one of their family is come.
I know not how you mean, sir. One of their family. But an you be not gone the sooner, I fear me, I shall use you somewhat familiarly.
Begone, quoth he. Why, I tell you, man, here I dwell, and here I am servant.
And I tell you, stay but a little longer, I'll make you be carried away if you were master, as if you were master.
How mean you that, sir?
Marry, with state, upon men's shoulders, if I but once lift up this cudgel.
Do what you will, sir, but I say still and will maintain that I am one of this household.
You will be gone.
Will you let one from coming into their own house?
Is this your house?
It is. I will stand to it.
I pray thee, who is thy master? Canst thou tell?
Amphitrio, the general of the Theban army, husband to Alcumena.
Amphitrio, thy master, tell me then what's thy name?
I am called at home Sosia. Old Davis was my father.
Oh, out upon the villain. Comest thou hither with so many lies patent together?
Indeed, my coat may be patched, but I know not what you mean by patching of lies.
Oh, your coat may be faced too, may it not? Well, for your patching and facing, I will give you a bombasting too, to teach you to speak truly hereafter.
But how and a man will not be bombasted?
But how and a man cannot choose?
I beseech you, sir.
Darest thou to say to me, a villain, thou art Sosia, when I myself am Sosia?
Alas, what shall I do?
Oh, this is but it is for the best that is behind. That is behind. Now, sir, as a man may ask you, whose are you, I pray you?
Oh, yours, sir, you rest. I were your colours bear, none but yours, sir. You have taken me, methinks, into your own hands.
Tell me then, wherefore are you come?
'Tis plain, sir. I marvel you will ask a question. You see yourself, to be beaten.
Oh, I'll beat you better yet, and you answer me not the sooner. Whose man are you once again?
And I will tell you once again, I am Amphitrio, his man Sosia.
Oh, what's against Sosia?
Murder, some honest Theban come help me.
Oh, your boarding shall not help you. I tell you that yet again I am Sosia.
An you be not, would you were else for me, that you might be as surely cudgelled as Sosia is?
Now tell me once more, who is your master?
Even whom you will, sir.
And what might be your name?
Nay, be you my godfather, sir, I pray you give me what name you will. I think you had best call me Stockfish instead of Sosia, for you seem to take me for no less.
Oh, this is you that said even now you are Sosia, you Amphitrio man.
I confess, sir, my tongue tripped. I would not have said Sosia. I would have said, so as you say.
You had no servant, but Sosia, but myself. I think thou wert not well in thy wits.
May a man but speak to you, sir, by your good leave, a word or two of free cost, without paying for it?
I'll go too. I am content to make truce with thee for a time.
Swear you will not touch me then.
Trust me of my word, I will not.
And so I may, now I remember me, for hitherto you have kept it with me. But how if you break it now?
Then let Mercury be Sosia, his mortal enemy.
Well, now I may speak what I list. I am Amphitrio, his man Sosia.
Oh, you are, sir.
Sir, you have made truce with me and are bound by your word, and I speak nothing but truth.
Oh, I care nothing for that.
Nay, use me as you please. I confess you are the better man. Yet I will never deny while I live, but that I am Sosia, one of the servants of this house, who with my fellow Dromio went from hence with our lord Amphitrio.
Out of that I see now thou art not well in thy wits.
Good lord, sir, that you will deny that I am my master's Sosia. Did not our ship come this night from the haven? Did not my master send me hither? Do I not stand now before our house? Have I not a lantern in my hand? Do I not speak? Am I not awake? Have I not been well cudgelled? What should let me then to go straight into our house?
Your house?
Aye, our house, so I say, do what you will.
Oh, thou hast lied hitherto in every word thou hast spoken, for I am but Sosia, that went with Amphitrio from hence, that was present at the con. You saw the town delivered. Know that my lord killed King Pateralus with his own hands.
Oh, now, nay, then I will not believe myself that I am Sosia. Annie, go on thus a little further, but I pray you, sir, and a man may speak without correction. You say you were by at your delivery up of the town. Can you tell a man what present was given Amphitrio by the Teleboyans?
The cup that King Pateralus himself was wont to drink in.
He hath told it. But, and you will not be angry for asking, sir, where might this cup be?
Oh, it is sealed up in a casket with Amphitrio his own seal.
Oh, infinite. I beseech you, sir, but the seal?
The sun rising, drawn in an azure coach with 4 flame-coloured houses.
By Jupiter, he hath put me down by plain arguments. I must be fain to go get me a new name for anything I see. Yet I cannot imagine where he should learn all this. But now I remember myself, I will ask him one thing he shall never be able to tell me while he lives, that I did alone in the tent when no Christian man was by me. Sir, if you be Sosia, when the legions had been a good while in chase of the enemy, what did you alone when you came to your lord's tent tell me but that, and I yield forever?
I ran to a hogshead of wine and filled a bottle.
He is in the way already.
Then sat me down upon a feather bed by, and drunk of it every drop.
True, by the Lord, true. Unless he were in the bottom of the bottle, I cannot guess how the devil he should know it.
Now, sir, have I convinced you by sufficient proofs that I am Sosia?
You say you are, sir.
And have reason too, I think.
But I durst be sworn by Jupiter that I am Sosia.
I dare swear by Mercury that Jupiter will believe me of my word before he will believe thee on the other.
I beseech you, sir, do but tell me, who should I be as you think, if I be not Sosia?
Oh, sir, when I leave to be Sosia, you may be he for anything I know. In the meantime, be gone presently, or else you know what I will follow.
As I live, when I look upon him, he is so like me that methinks I see myself in a glass. His hat, his clothes are like mine, his leg, his foot, his stature, his nose, his lips, his cheeks, his beard. Every part of him. What should I say more? If he have as many blows on his shoulder as I have too, there was never 2 eggs like a one another. And yet methinks on the other side, when I remember myself, I was never that I can call to mind, but the same man. I remember my master, I know his house. I am not asleep, I am not drunk. Why then should not I be Sosia? I am Sosia, and I will go into our house, that I will.
Whither now, sir?
To our house.
Yet again our house. Get you gone quickly without more words. You had best, or else I'll make your skin of more colours than the walls of your house.
May not I go tell my mistress what my master bade me?
Go tell your mistress what you list. As for her, it dwells here, she is my mistress. If you see her today, it shall cost you dearly.
Nay, I'll be gone first. It has cost me enough already, would you bear part of my charges? Lord in heaven, what a thing is this? What becomes of me, Troye? When did I lose myself? When was I changed? Did I leave myself yonder and perhaps forget it? For he hath all the shape I have here as just as a here. Well, I will return to my master and let him know of all that hath passed. If he hath forgotten me too, I will even to the font and unchristen myself again.
And there, after a very long section, but I thought I'd let it run for various reasons, partly because we have kind of already established it before. Also, this is I mean, despite this name of the Birth of Hercules, it is a fairly straightforward down the line translation of Amphitrio by Plautus. So we don't give this the level of detail that we would elsewhere. The title may make you think it's going to be a slightly different kind of play than it actually turns out to be. But with this play, the Plautus has been a source for other plays, and we have encountered one of them already that has basically done this scene, but in a different context, and that is, of course, Jack Juggler, which basically features the whole existential crisis. I am you, who am I then? I let me into the house, I'm not letting you into the house. But in Nicholas Udall's probably version, there is a lot more physical violence in that version. It is practically, who are you? Wrong answer. Who are you? Wrong answer. Goes on for a while. For those interested in Jack Juggler, the reason why I'm going on about this at great length is we've already done a full cast audio adaptation of this on the podcast, which I will endeavour to put links in the show description. And it's actually lovely, finally, to have got round to another example of the same sort of material. This is a more straight down the line translation, whereas Jack Juggler totally changes the context. There is no god mythological thing going on. It's just someone decides to give someone else an existential crisis for laughs, really. He's given a wafer-thin motivation, whereas here we have a whole plot about someone's God's behaving badly, need to stop the husband, the message, the notification of the husband coming home from getting to the household for as long as possible. Greg?
I think there is a lot. I got the sense there was because we had to do that so static because we weren't in the same room. But I got the sense there probably is a fair amount of cuddling in that. I think poor Sosia. I mean, Mercury has some fabulous lines in there, and you can tell that he is having a huge amount of fun in that. So it's glorious. I loved it. I mean, I think I said in the chat, you could almost lift that scene utterly and shove it into a different play, put a couple of different, as you've now proved with Jack Joker, and put a couple of different names in there, and it could just work in any play. It's a glorious. I mean, I could see, I could see in so many in a city comedy just being a lovely two-hander for, in boys' companies plays where you sort of, you get a couple of people who are obviously very good at physical comedy and just shove it in there. That was great. I love that scene.
Other thoughts in the room? Liza, muted at present.
I mean, one of the things that makes this scene work well in this context is that that for Mercury's part, there are stakes involved. He's not just messing with Sosia. If Sosia gets through, Mercury will then be in trouble with his dad. So it's not just he's not just doing it for the hell of it. He's doing it for a reason.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I mean, maybe one of the reasons that there's not as much actual cudgeling in this scene as there is in Plautus is,
or potentially isn't. I mean, we don't have stage direction, so there might be. But yeah, anyway.
Maybe this, well, I think there reads as being a lot of threatened cudgeling and a lot of sort of, no, please don't cudgel me, which is arguably kind of funnier. But maybe this Sosia was a verbal comedian rather than a physical comedian. Because there's a lot of really lovely wordplay here, especially on his name. Like at one point, Mercury says, there's a saucy fellow, and Sosia, they're both doing asides at that point. And Sosia says, oh, well, if his name be Saucy, my name is Sosia. and then he was like, during one of the confrontations, he's like, oh, I didn't mean to say my name was Sosia. I would have said, so as you say. So, that's kind of lovely. And all in all, I think this scene, it's a lovely scene. It plays very believably and very, lively.
Yeah, it's clearly a worked translation that is designed for the stage. I mean, the prologue pretty much proves that, and the dialogue continues to prove that. We've had translations of Terence, which are academic translations to go, which are much more formal. This is clearly designed to actually fly, and it's our second relatively pucker Plautus translation which does that, actually, where the play seems to function very well as an actual piece of entertainment rather than an academic exercise, whereas Terence just seems to quietly die in a corner, with one exception so far. But hey, that's the difference between Plautus and Terence, frankly. One of them's quite good and the other one isn't. But I'm sorry, I'm taking sides. I'm allowed to take sides about classical authors. They're not the same. Anyway. Waiting for a Terence play I actually enjoy. Eric.
I was just going to say that I find it interesting how we've seen this stick before, like not just in Plautus translations, but also in other like early modern plays. It's, I mean, like the Malcontent as well. You've got like disguise. You've got Donna Kent, Donna Cumber, where they disguise themselves as each other, which is even funnier. And I find it even funnier that Mercury does not use any of his like godlike powers to turn. He just sits there and eavesdrops on what Sosia is planning to do, and bases his entire shtick on that.
Okay. Any additional thoughts before we dive into the continuing action? I say the continuing action. We got a bit more Mercury, but don't worry, a different interlocutor is going to come on now. We got through that as quickly as possible, so other people in the room get to talk. So Act 1, Scene 2, which we will run into the next. Mercury is left alone.
Oh dear. Hitherto our business goes forward well, and I think I have done my father good service. But all is not done yet. There is another block to remove. For Amphitrio, longing to comfort his wife with these glad tidings of his victory, dispatches his man Dromio presently, after Sosia in another ship, that if one should chance to miscarry, the other might happily arrive in time. Oh, more stuff. Sosia arrives, as you see, in an evil hour, and with a flea in his ear is sent back again. Now, Dromio has arrived. Now, Dromio's ship, by a sudden tempest, was brought into such distress that hardly the villain escaped shipwreck. But this was my father's doing. At least if one had so suddenly arrived after the other, it might have bred some disturbance to our business. Now he is coming hard by, as jocund as may for his escape, and especially because he brings a ring for a token from his master to his mistress. And Sosia had none, whom his hope is yet to prevent, and yet to get the maiden of his mistress, thanks for his good tidings. But this ring of his must I have by some device from him, and then send him after his fellow Sosia. And here he comes.
Act 3, Scene 3. Enter messenger number 2, please.
Go to sea, quoth he. And ever I go to sea again, I'll say nothing, but let me be hanged as soon as I come on land. Trust the water who will for all Dromio. And they trust it never so long, I am sure of one thing. They shall find it but a slippery thing in the end. Well, there was never man of my place, as it were a kind of basseter now from a general, that 'scaped drowning so narrowly as I did. And yet now I am on land, methinks I could even almost laugh at the fine sport the wind made with our ship upon the water. We had dancing, i' faith, our bellies full, some of us. I never see the like with our minstrels in my life. They talk of the back trick. I' faith, our ship fetched the back trick backward and forward too. I hope never to see the like again. The maypole sink pace, otherwise called the wheeling galliard, was a thing of nothing. Tricks of 15 or 16 score and upward, 2 or 3 furlong high, but a trifle. And this was shire dancing, besides tumbling and other strange feats of artillery. In the meantime, we in the ship practiced the almond leap from one end to the other. But I must needs confess all did not like alike. For some pitched on their feet, some on their hands, others of the better wits thought it not amiss to light on their heads, some on their backs, others on their shoulders. As for our sails, poor sails, they were blown in pieces for all the world like wafer cakes. And the main mast snapped in two, as I would snap a rush. I' faith, I, and then blown quite out of sight. How say you by that? For indeed it was so dark, we could not see one another. Nay, and how are we cozened? I would not have said once God a mercy to him that would have said to me, Dromio, what wilt thou give me if I will carry the quick to heaven? Why, we were descended once so near the very sky, look ye, or the firmament itself, that if our ship had had but her mast still to have made a hole there, Lord, it would have been ye easiest leap in the world. But see the desert of pride. Pride will have a fall, saith the poet. So had we. We despised to heaven what came on't. Marry, we came down again with a vengeance into such a horrible, untestable abomination. Fie on't, I'm afraid to think on't. Mark how our quiver yet, good people. Such an ugly, black, bottomless, feminine hole that I would willingly have grown to exposition with the devil and given the foul fiend my hind quarters with all my art. So he would have left me my head and my fore quarter still. But the mortal gods did resign me, though unworthy, no doubt, to better misfortune. And what a comfort were it to me now to know that Sosia, that slave, was soused as well as I. But methinks this is a pestilence long night. A man might have been hanged and drowned to this night, and alive and dry again in the morning. I do not remember that ever I saw so long a night but one, when I was once whipped all night. That night was indeed a rod or two longer than this. What should a man say to it? Are ye 9 planets out of their way, trow ye? Let me see. The 7 muses are just in the same place still, where they were at midnight, just in the same place. I marry, are they? But what do I forget all this while? I am almost at home, and yet I have not pondered with myself how when I am come before my mistress in most unseemly manner, in few words to dilate my message unto her.
You will hear him speak his mind, because I have nothing else to do. Yes, I mean to ease him of this labour.
It were not amiss thus, I thus, or thus for the most part, I what and thus altogether? Madam, I, Dromio, am the thrice welcome messenger of my lord and masters, your lord and husband's most outrageous victory, which was detained, partly indeed by ye policy of the common soldier, but most especially by the worthy induct of my lord and master, your lord and husband, our most vincible general, who most valiantly and wisely put to the sword King Perilous himself with his own hands. I mean, madam, and the sword in 'em. I would not have you take 'em otherwise. After which most a strange fact, our enemies were slain, do you mark, our foes seduced, and our adversaries slaughtered, every man, woman, and child, and all the rest taken prisoners.
What, and slain or two? That was hard justice.
Ay, this will serve passing well, and little will she think, when I can tell her thus much, but that I was as knuckle deep in the Acon as the rest, when God knows I stood fair and far off.
Aye, God is thy witness.
Where I spied that coward Sosia lurking behind a molehill, that I was even ashamed to see him. Now, if he has not prevented me, I am a made man, and yet say he has. Alas, he comes in the plain beaten highway, of after my hearty commendations, but I have here the very signet with one of my master's own precious stones, that cannot be but welcome to my mistress besides, a special most singular message that this Opie sends as a sign of his spotted faith. The gold should present his crown of victory.
This is just quite contrary.
Well, here is our house. But who is that before our Lord thus late in the night? Oh, lay my life, 'tis Sosia, and he is not yet gone in. Oh, that I knew that, how I should laugh at him now. But now I remember, I'll put up my ring, for 'tis such a crafty jack, that if he set but his eye on't once, he would have it. He would have it or he would cousin me a finger and all, and I will make as though I did not know him. What art thou, good fellow, that art here at this time of night?
What saucebox is he that asks me this question?
Saucebox, quoth he at the first dash. By the mass, I am wildly afraid I'm in a wrong box. By the phrase, mark you, this should not be he. Can a man tell whither I had best proceed or no? 'Tis night, and if a man should chance to quarrel, he might as soon strike, do you see, his friend as his foe. Well, I am dissolved to be civil for this once, some ere come on't. None but a friend of yours.
No friend, me no friend. And be his own friend, he had best spend his time somewhere else, and not trouble me that hath other things to think on.
'Tis he, I faith, I know by that. There be others have something to think on too, as well as he. I see by this time how I shall put him down anon. Your friend and fellow, sir, go to.
My fellow?
He is afraid of me already. I see the slave would not be known. Are your fellow so, I say, and your name be Sosia? I know you well enough.
Are you sure you know me?
Oh, Lord, sir, is it not you that lay skulking behind a molehill all the time we were fighting?
I'll hold a wager, 'tis Dromio all the time we were fighting, quoth he. But at that same token, thou ranst away so fast that thou look'st but once behind thee till the battle was done. In faith, fellow Dromio, you are so muffled up, I should scarce have known you in the dark, had not you discovered yourself. But you are come in good time, for I have been a wild while looking for you, and after.
For me? And why for me? A man would think you had somewhat else to do.
What man?
To deliver a certain message to my lady Alcumena.
Oh, why, man, that message was delivered 5 hours ago at least. And I have been with my lord since to desire a token from him to my lady, for without she will not believe me.
Marry, I cannot blame her, for she has reason, I think. Believe thee that say'st thou has been here and there and there and there again, and all in 5 hours? What a monstrous lie is that, fellow Sosia? In few words, I am ashamed to hear thee. But as concerning the foresaid token, sure, some rare token, may a man see it?
Oh, why, I was telling of you. If you would have let me go on, he bade me make haste to overtake you, and take of you a certain ring he gave you to deliver her.
A ring of me? You take a ring of me? I shall never digest it. You take a halter. I take my life first. What should I do then? Can you tell?
Oh, you should presently return, as I take it, to have certain prisoners committed to your charge.
I like enough to be a jailer and fit for nothing else. Aye. If I have the ring now, I do not find in myself but that I shall keep it, Keep you the prisoners, and you will. I scorn the trade, I.
Oh, alas, fellow Dromio, be not offended with me. I do but my master's message.
No ring of me, God forgive me. I shall never forget it. I do not think he knows I have a ring for all this saying, and he were well examined.
Yes, and can tell you the marks of it too. Or else, let me not have it.
No, you shall not, I warrant you. But you can tell the marks you, I'll try that by and by. If ye have a stone now, as parent or I, parent to know, what manner of stone may it be?
Why, a fair pointed diamond.
A fair pointed diamond?
Why, what ail you, man?
A fair pointed diamond? Nay, you're in the right, you're in the right. You have hit it. A fair pointed diamond, quoth he. But that I am angry with him for lying, how could I laugh at him? A fair pointed diamond. And first, 'tis an adamant, for so my lord said himself when he livered it to me. Or say an adamant and a diamond be all on't, as I do not greatly stand upon that. He says 'tis fair, and the stone is a plain bay, or a sheep's russet, which you will, and he says 'tis pointed, and the devil a point is there at it.
Oh, why, thou mistakes me, man. Let me see it, and I will show thee how I mean.
Aye, it may be so, sir, but I do not mean to let you see it for all that, unless you can tell me one thing, because you say you were bidden to take it. Tell me that, go to, and take it. He will as soon be hanged as he can tell it.
And what's that?
The message that is to be livered withal.
Oh, this is a strange thing that we fellows should so mistrust one another.
Nay, near go about to sinuate by we fellows, but tell it and take it.
And you will needs know. He bade me tell her the hoop represented his garden to victory, the gold his spotless affection.
I must confess 'twas much thereabout, and yet it cannot sink into my head that he could possibly be there and here and here and there again in 5 hours. Well, since I've given my word, here, take it. I stand upon my word, I tell you, fellow Sosia.
Oh, I see you do, and I commend you for it.
And to say the truth, 'tis more to one's imputation to have the custody of prisoners, do you see, than to deliver a message than every simple fellow can do. Fellow Sosia, I give you the ring with all my heart. But do you hear? You are sure you are bidden to take it.
Make no question of it.
No, I do not neither. Nay, take it. I faith with all my heart, but you say you are sure my lord's honours, worship's pleasure is, it should be so.
Nay, then.
Nay, I believe you. I speak not for that. I truly have it with all my heart.
I know you have.
I indeed have you, for you say he bade you take it, but that's all one. But for those same prisoners, can you tell what men of qualities are among them?
Oh, great men, certain.
I' faith.
I may tell you there's not one of them, but since the last king's death is next to the crown.
Away, away, fellow Sosia, that same ring.
What of that?
I' faith, thou hast it with all my heart.
I make no question on it.
But, sirrah, everyone next the crown?
Everyone?
Oh, rare. And they shall find me as mild and severe a commander as they would wish.
I am assured of it.
Well, fellow Sosia, farewell, and thou knowest what I said with all my heart.
One needs that, I more than believe thee.
Adieu, good fellow Sosia.
Adieu, good fellow Woodcock. So now we are on Clearport. Now, this fool is sent away to... There will be no stirring on for poor Amphitrio, what with his men and what with his wife. Never was victorious general so welcomed home. But since it falls out for my father's pleasure, he that can do all will in the end make all good with a general contentment, especially to Amphitrio, whom he will enrich for amends with two worthy but one incomparable son, who shall be named Hercules. Both shall be born at a time that they were not conceived at a time. But so it is. My father's will to make Alcumena's labour but single for a double birth. In the meantime, must I go on as my duty is to do my father's service to the end.
And we'll pause there before we go into the next scene. This scene does not actually appear to be in a direct translation of Plautus, so it seems to be an addition. So an extra servant has been added, an extra complication, a token that has to be intercepted. And also we get, I don't know whether that's an addition as well, but we get that name check of Hercules. We're setting up the title of the play is The Birth of Hercules. Anyone wondering if we're going to get any birthing of Hercules, that will indeed happen. Worry ye not. It does say what it does do what it says on the tin. Don't anyone who is worrying. It's an interesting little bit. It's a different bit of comedy business, and it's quite nicely done. But yeah, this. I don't know whether it's from some other source or off the top of my head, or Liza.
Yeah. I mean, even if this scene is interpolated, I love it. It's a really nicely seen and very well played by both. And as the previous one was indeed, very, very good servants all around in this room. But yeah, my thought is, I mean, the company probably had one more clown than there was a part for, or a popular clown that needed to be given a showy scene. And it seems to me this guy might be more of a physical comedian than the last guy, because in his initial speech, he talks about the ship dancing all these different dances and doing all these different dance moves. And it would be hard to do that speech without a bit of physicality and a bit of dancing. And again, nobody gets beaten. It's sort of, and you see that Dromio is actually honest, whereas Mercury, of course, the god of liars, and under a false appearance, in any case, he's dishonest. But so it's with Sosia, Mercury was, as it were, gaslighting him to make him believe he wasn't really himself, because Mercury was himself. But now Mercury just has to earn Dromio's belief.
Yes, and of course he knows all the things. This is the thing. This is what which gave the existential crisis to Sosia last time. Is, you ask the questions and he knows all the things. There's I'll give you the ring. Are you sure you want the ring? No, of course I don't need to question you anymore. Have the ring. And that kind of thing of someone trying to gull someone out of an object. Again, it feels like that could have come from so many interesting places, and off the top of my head, I can't think of a source. The whole the shipwreck description stuff, or the ship, that sounded awfully familiar from somewhere. I think we've had a few people tossed, as it were, in the sea, and that felt like something we've encountered before.
I can't remember that simile of them being so near to heaven that the mast might have made a hole in it, and you could just jump there. Yeah, I don't remember seeing that before.
No, but I do remember there was something about the way the waves were rolling, or that felt awfully familiar. I don't think it's cribbed line for line or anything, but it's not an unfamiliar thing. Eric.
I was going to say that it's probably Seneca. We've probably read it in some tragedy where there's a huge description of things, yeah.
Well, whoever the author was clearly had a good classical education, so I don't think we can knock him for that. Okay, any other thoughts before we get a few more speakers in the room? Eric?
I'm trying to work out, did he actually get the ring, or what is the ring for in this case, or is it just like sort of making time for someone to change? I don't really understand what happened in this scene.
Greg,
didn't Mercury say something in the speech before Dromio's entrance that Amphitrio had sent it as a token?
Yeah. the husband can't send a message, send a token to his wife if his wife thinks that she's already with her husband who she thinks is already home.
And moreover, like Jupiter and Alcumena are at their sport right now, and if a servant knocks on the door, Mercury is going to get in trouble.
Yeah, so if someone knocks on the door and says, "I've got a present from your husband," she says, "I'm with my husband. Go, hang," and the whole thing unravels. So, so it's all not propitious. So at this particular juncture, and for all we know, Mercury's going to fence it or something. I don't know. Right. Any other thoughts? No. Okay. Let's. The action continues. Act 1, Scene 4. Enter to them Jupiter and Alcumena to Mercury.
Farewell, my best beloved Alcumena. I pray thee look well to thyself. Thy time, thou seest, draws on apace. And that God sends us, sweetheart, make much on't. I must be gone.
Alas, my lord, what's the reason of this that you are gone so soon again?
Oh, not my love that I am weary of thee, or of being at home, but how can all go well with so great an army when 'tis without a general?
Oh, my father is excellent at this counterfeiting. Mark him, I pray you, how quaintly he comes in with Alcumena.
I may see by this how little you care for me.
It is enough, if there be none under the sun I care for so much.
I'd rather see this than hear of it. Our bed is scarce warm, yet 'twas midnight when you came, and you are gone already. How could this be if you loved me as you say?
Think I had best step in and help my father. Martyr, I do not think, if I should be put to swear, that every man in the world loved woman so well as my master doth you.
Now, sir, who sent for you? You must be prating.
Good my lord, but pray you do not.
Mumble you had best.
I do not like this beginning half as well.
But my dearest Alcumena, what reason hast thou to be angry with me? Did I not steal this time from my whole army to bestow it on ye, that by mine own mouth thou mightst first understand how all hath succeeded? Would I have done thus, think'st thou, if I did not love thee?
Oh, could a man devise to flatter more cunningly?
Now I must needs privily convey myself back again as I stole away, that it be not known, which I would not for anything.
I know not how you will go. I am sure you make me weep to see you gone so soon.
I pray thee be content. I will presently return again.
Aye, that presently will be too long.
Dost thou think it pleasures me to part from thee, if I could choose?
Yet, no, it is not likely when you go away the same night you came.
Oh, why dost thou hold me? I must needs be gone before the day appear. In the meantime, for a pawn of my speedy return and a remembrance while I'm away, I will give thee the same cup King Terralus himself drank in, whom I slew.
I had rather have you stay.
Oh, thou seest I cannot. Sarah, bring cup hither I gave you to keep.
Yes, sir.
How now, Alcumena, how like you this?
This is a gift indeed, like him that gave it.
Or rather better, like her, 'tis given unto.
Sarah, will you never hold your peace?
Good Amphitrio, be not angry with Sosia for my sake.
Ha, I'm content for this once.
Lord, how fierce my father is grown with this same love.
Hast thou anything now to command me?
I would entreat you, sir, to love me still when you are gone, though I be absent.
So 'tis more than with time we were gone, for day begins to peep.
Go you before, sir. I'll come after you. What wilt thou else?
Nothing but that you return as soon as you can.
I warrant thee I will be here ere thou look'st for me. Farewell. Now, knight, thou hast stayed my leisure thus long, I give thee leave to give place today, and so much as thou wert longer than thou shouldst be, thus much be shorter the next day, that order may be kept still. Now, I follow Mercury.
And they exit. And we'll briefly pause because that's the end of the act. Exit, everybody. So yeah, more presents. Presents. This is a cup. There's I can't see any of this going wrong. I think this all seems perfectly reasonable. It's an act break. I'm assuming that it's an act break, and as if it's a student production, that there is a and it's indoors, that there might actually literally be a minor break here. But the action might just flow on. Alcumena is technically on before the act break, so we'll find out in a moment whether it flows on naturally or not. Any thoughts in the room? Eric.
Jupiter's lying out his teeth, but anyway, yeah.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's not desperately happy about Mercury being there either. Initially, it's like going, you're ruining my street cred.
He's lying, but he's also weirdly telling the truth. Like, if there be none under the sun I care for so much, like, his wife is actually above the sun, so that's like in the heavens. So and things like, I will return ere thou lookst for me. Like, I'm sure he knows that the real Amphitryon is going to be here.
Yes, equivocation after 1605 is not a popular pastime. So that may be coding Jupiter as quite an untrustworthy person, which I think is perfectly reasonable.
Oh, you think?
But yeah, just a note on that piece of logic. Anyway, any more before we dive into Act 2? I don't know how far we're going to go. I'm just going to keep going until we sort of reach a point, and then we'll stop. Eric.
I find it interesting that the setup with the servants and Mercury is actually longer than the Jupiter-Alcumena exchange, which is quite. I mean, like, she's already been convinced and had like sort of fun time, or whatever you want to call it, with Jupiter, and like it just feels weird because, like, okay, I get that this is like the birth of Hercules and he's the main sort of focus at some point, sort of, but yeah, like you don't get a lot of setup you don't get a feel for the dynamic between them. You get a feel for the dynamic between Amphitrio and Alcumena, but not the dynamic between Jupiter and Alcumena.
Any other thoughts? Okay, let's dive into Act 2, Scene 1 then. Alcumena and Thessala enter.
They talk of pleasure, but the pleasure of a woman's life, I am sure, is little enough if it be compared with her crosses. The severe strictness of our education, the bondage after if our husbands be not better, the wrongful suspicions and accusations too, now, then we pass through our lifetime. Sorry, 1 second, I just need to note something, because it's annoying.
Ooh, a moment of confusion.
Sorry, yes. And now and then we pass through our lifetime. The pain we endure before we have children, the care after, the general weakness of our sex. These be ordinary complaints of all women. But there is one cross that mostly attends, though, not only upon us that are the greater, and it is the greater cross, the ordinary absence of our husbands, which in the manner is doubled to. For they were they absent only in embassage or as travelers or as merchants, yet they might leave us heart-easing hope at home to accompany us till their return. But being absent as soldiers, they leave us pale fear, a passion that we are less able to endure than grief. They might as well quite leave us, for it is our greatest grief to fear, and 'tis fear that's death to us. If we be dead once, what can sorrow do us harm? Why sayest thou, Thessala, is not this true? I know thou lovest not Sosia so little, but thou hast a taste of each of these since he was last with thee.
Indeed, madam, I must needs confess the truth I have. And though we be not married together, I am sure his absence, being in so dangerous an employment especially, hath gone as near my heart as if we had been. If I durst, when your ladyship hath sighed sometimes, I could have found it in my heart to have borne you company. Oh, there cannot be such a cross in the world to a woman as to part from her husband. Why, mistress, he is the husband of her bosom. When he is gone, alas, how can she but be naked? He is her prop and upholder. Take him away, she cannot choose but fall. Besides, a soldier is to his wife a shield and buckler too. Remove him, and she will lie open straight to all assaults.
We're pretty, but thou hast a husband, Thessala, that thou couldst persuade him well to stay at home.
Aye, and 'twere not for Sosia and my master, I cry you mercy, mistress. My master and Sosia, I should have said. I would not care if all these soldiers were hanged, to give example to others to keep better at home with their wives.
And thou art too hard, Thessala. Thou shouldst wish them lamed, so they should be sure to stay at home. She makes me merry to hear her how earnest she is, and yet I cannot put away the thought of my lord's so sudden departure. Thessala, go you in. I will follow you, to stay but one poor night. Nay, had it been all that were something, but one piece of a night? And that piece, that's a little piece too. Now I am more discontented with his departure than methought I was joyed with his coming. Yet I must needs say comforts me not a little. The honor my lord hath gotten by his victory, to hear him so well spoken of by everybody. And if we women love honor so well as men say we do, then this needs be pleasing unto us, to hear them magnified being part of us, who cannot choose but part their honor with us. Yet methinks too honor, to say the truth, is but a truest harbinger of love. I'd rather see my lord still lie than hear of him. But now I must be content. 'Twill not be long ere he return. So he said to please me. Well, I see walking will not put out this melancholy out of my head. I will go in and try another while and try what working can do.
And exit. Okay, this is another scene that isn't in the original, as far as I can tell. We seem to have gained a love interest for Sosia, who is not in the original. So it's like this is very much the because Plautus's plays are not very long. This is your pucker 2 to 3 hour play from a play that's maybe an hour, if that, in the original. So it's interesting that this text is expanding on what's a relatively simple setup and doing interesting things with it. I do quite like Thessala's logic of hanging the soldiers. maybe just a limp. It might. It's a nice. There is wit in this author here in expanding and and what he's doing. It's interesting. Liza.
Yeah, and Thessala's little speech about about metaphorically what a husband is, saying he is her prop and upholder. Take him away, she cannot choose but fall. It's sort of it's a bit like, yes, emotionally they miss him, but also there's a sort of double entendre here that if the soldier husband goes away, the wife might be more likely to play around. Or at least is vulnerable to, say, seduction or even ruder attempts.
Rudeness. Ooh. Okay, let's dive on to where we return to the original setup, I believe. Act 2, Scene 2, Amphitrio and Sosia.
Come your ways after me.
I will follow you, sir. I warrant you hard at the heels.
I do not think there was ever yet such a villain hard as of this.
Why so, sir? I beseech you.
Why thou wouldst make me believe that neither is, nor was, nor can be.
This is your old wont not to believe your poor servants. Speak they never so truly.
Sir, do not justify this. You had best and you do.
Nay, the law is in your hands. Use me as you think good. Yet you shall never make me afraid to tell you what I see with these eyes.
Oh, why, thou shameless slave, darest thou say to me, thou art not at home that art here?
Sir, I dare say it, and will stand to it, that it is most true.
Dost thou long for a beating?
For that, as it please you, sir, I am yours, yet I must not, nor will not be afraid to speak ye truth.
Dost thou but think what it is to flout thy master? Darest thou affirm to me for certainty that which yet never saw man that one man should be in two places?
Sir, as I have told you, so you shall find it.
What, art thou here and there to man? Wilt thou stand to this?
And you prove me a liar, then speak your pleasure. In the meantime, would not think of me otherwise than I have deserved?
Out of doubt, this fellow is drunk.
Would I were else for my own sake?
Nay, I will thou thee, thou hast thy wish.
Have I, sir?
Aye, and you'd best tell me too, were you drunk last?
Oh, it may be you will not believe me, but I'll be sworn I drunk not since I was last in your tent.
What might this mean?
Alas, sir, I have told you often enough and will tell you again, and it will do you any good. I, Sosia, am now at home, and I the same am here with you. This is plain enough, I think.
Oh, well, I then see then that thou art married. It is no more dealing with thee.
Sir, I am well in my wits, whatsoever you think, and you know what I say well enough.
Then shalt thou be hanged for lying. Just a plain case thou hast neglected to do my commandment, and now thou thinkest to come and flap me in the teeth with such a lie, as thou dost mean more wrong in thinking. I will believe it, and in bare telling of it to excuse thyself. Confess the truth you had best.
Can a poor servant endure greater misery than this, when he tells the truth, to be overborne by force?
Oh, why, I pray thee, come and reason the matter with me a little. If perchance thou hast any reason, how dost thou think it can be possibly be that thou shouldst now be both here and at home at the same time?
Is enough, sir, that I know I am both here and there. And you may marvel as much as you will, and when you have done, you marvel not more than I marvel at it myself.
Oh.
Marry, I say, I marvel at it as much as you, for by this good light I did at the first believe this Sosia myself, until I myself that am there did make me believe him. He did so pittily tell me whatsoever was done here. Beside, he has my shape as well as my name, and sir, prove that one drop of milk be like another, then he and I are together. And take this head from my shoulders. Why, I will tell you, sir, when you sent me from the heaven, would you think it?
What?
I was at home a great while before I came there.
Oh. Dost thou understand thyself well what thou sayest?
Methinks I speak so plainly, sir, that any man may understand me.
I cannot tell what to make of this. Sometimes he thinks he should be drunk, sometimes mad, or perhaps he is bewitched. Has not someone looking that light upon thee?
Yes, that there hath a couple, on my word, for I was never better beaten since my name was Sosia.
Who should beat thee?
I, sir, that am at home, beat myself.
Oh, can anybody get this thing answer me a question or two, and see you speak not a word but as I ask you. First, this same Sosia you speak of, what should he be?
He is your man.
My man, villain! I have too many to say by thee already, and thee I had never seen in my life. So I never had any in my life.
Well, this Sosia is your man, and so you shall find him when you come home. He is Davis, his son. He has my face. He is of my years. In a word, sir, your Sosia is no longer a single, but a double Sosia.
Oh, carest me strange things. Oh, but didst thou see my wife?
How could I see her when I could not be suffered to come in?
Oh, God. It's
That same Sosia I told you of.
Oh, what's the man?
I myself, sir, how often shall I tell you I would have believed you in half this time?
Tell me, didst thou not sleep lately?
Not I, sir.
Art thou sure of it? Perhaps in a dream thou might see all this.
'Tis not my wont, sir, so sleepily to do your business. I tell you, I was watching when I see him, and he was watching when he watched me a good turn and beat me almost asleep for watching so late.
Sorry, did that not come wrong?
No.
Nay, then we shall never have done. In a few words, sir, I beat myself. Do you not yet understand me?
Understand me? But I should understand such a bad fool as this art. Talkest thus idly of things impossible.
Be content a while, sir, and you shall see how impossible they be.
What shall I say?
The foresaid Sosia, your man.
I come always after me when thought that I had you out of the ship.
I have it here ready for you, sir.
We shall see anon, I hope, what this gale will come in.
And we'll pause there. As the word player for who was it? It was I. I was there. It was me. I'm over there. If you are you and who am and he is me, who am I then? I don't know. Yeah.
I am the Eggman.
Yes.
They are the Eggman. I am the Walrus.
I was going to say, that scene would have been fun if you had just played Amphitrio tonight. However, having played Mercury, that scene was triply funny because it was just like, it's like suddenly the tables are turned. Because, you know, Mercury, you go from Mercury who was playing everybody against each other to the poor person who's just going, what the actual is going on in this?
Yeah, and it's the fact that Sosia basically has only one thing to tell you, and it's like you're just going, yes, but who was the thing? And it was Sosia. It's just like it never. I don't know what other way I can do to tell you the thing, and it's like you just can't get it. And also, we're getting more of an impression of how much physical business was going on in that first scene. There was a lot more beating than we had there. Eric, and then Desna.
I'm pretty sure there's a gag like this in one of the Rush Hour films with Jackie Chan, where it's like, who are you? I am you. No, you can't be you. I'm me. And yeah, it's just very it's obviously funny because of names and how they work in Chinese. But I mean, yeah, this works a lot better than that.
Yes, well, basically, this is every single Doctor Who anniversary story. Desna.
Oh, now that you've got me thinking about Doctor Who, that's hilarious. So that was really fun to do. But I mean, I'm reading the words, but I can actually feel my sense of self sort of deteriorating as I'm reading it because, hello, can you not just believe me? And there's something sort of slightly, well, I don't know what awaits Amphitrio after this conversation, but there's something a bit kind of Cassandra-ish as well, like this guy's trying to tell you something and nobody's hearing it, which I thought was interesting as well, but not quite perhaps the comedic of a comedic level that this is going for. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Eric.
Now, I just like the line, I myself, sir, how often shall I tell you? I would have believed you by now. It's like, come on, dude. You like we've had this conversation before. You would have believed. No, yeah, not before, but like they would have probably like been talking about this like for the entire hour of him accompanying Amphitrio down the street or something. And by this point, Amphitrio wants to kill him with frustration.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I would have believed you by now if I were you, but you don't believe me. You don't believe I'm me, and he's me as well.
Other thoughts before we go? We're not going to get any further on this session, alas, to get into the chaos, and it's a shame to stop at this point. But it's an expansive play. It's an expanded version. I think it works as its expanded version. I think it's very effective. It's taking the best stuff out of Plautus and isn't losing that material. All of what we've just done that we really enjoyed has its bones in Plautus. I think again it's shorter. This playwright has sort of just expanded on the constant back and forth of it was me, but I was over there ness of it all. So it's doing a really interesting job of work. Liza.
Like Desna says, one can, Mercury does persuade Sosia that he's not himself, or if he is himself, there's another himself. And I love that then Sosia is way ahead of Amphitrio. He's like, yeah, I'm two me's. There's a me over there that beat me. And I think it's a little bit like Alice in Wonderland in that it reaches an absurd conclusion by slow logical steps. So you can feel your sense of self deteriorating because everything everyone says is making sense, and the way people react makes sense too, which is rare in these translated plays.
Yeah, and the dialogue genuinely has a good sense of bounce and character. I mean, I thought Dromio had a real. I mean, that's not from the original, but probably from an original somewhere. So they're doing a lot of work. Anyway, final thoughts. I think we're enjoying a lot of this. But in terms of putting it on, are there any thoughts? I mean, maybe he has expanded it too much, and maybe we should think of some trims. Some of that opening stuff is quite. Some of that opening, there's a lot of opening. There's a lot of Mercury. There's a lot of stuff. But hey, maybe we'll just let it go and see. David, do you have any final thoughts about the Birth of Hercules?
Well, only that obviously in a way the subplot and the framing just seems to be completely drowning the central point. As you say, it's going to be some time off before we see Hercules born, and those scenes, as somebody else said, are all very short compared with these accumulating servant scenes.
Yes, I mean, how important is I mean, there is this question of it may be a bit awkward to try and sell it with its title. Because people might be going constantly, so when's Hercules turning up? And it's like, well, I mean, it's been lampshaded a bit, but yeah, and I believe it will be more active. But hey, Greg, any final thoughts?
Well, having been mostly, it seems, the only person talking tonight at some point, I do feel like, I mean, say, amazing room as ever. Oh my God, what a play! And Amphitrio's. I'm dying to see the next scene, and I'm dying to see what happens next because I mean I have read Amphitryo years ago, but the original for play. But oh my God, I mean, yeah, I lose the prologues. I mean, the first prologue was lovely, and it's a historical gem for its own reasons. Mercury's meh. I
Well,
think
there is a lot of plot in Mercury's, though. We
there
kind
is,
yeah.
but there's part of me that just goes, I'd love to just go straight in with that first scene. I mean, that first scene is so and so brilliantly written, and then Dromio just. I almost got upset when anybody else came on because it just lost it. To me, it lost a little bit of its way. But then again, you had to get more people on stage because my God, poor Mercury needs a bloody breather.
Yeah.
It needs at least a drink.
Yeah.
Because at least Sosia buggers off and has a few minutes off stage before he's next on. Poor Mercury's just been at it. No, fabulous. Love it. I am so looking forward to reading the rest of this. It's been a treat.
Desna, any final thoughts?
I didn't know what to expect this evening, and this is surpassed all my non-expectations, as befits a play of this nature, perhaps. So it's been fun and bouncy and mind melting, and more of this sort of thing.
Excellent. Eric, any final thoughts?
As soon as I remember how to unmute myself. Yeah, it's fun, and I kind of am more interested in the framing device with the servants than I am in the actual plot. It's like, yeah, forget the plot. I don't really care. I mean, because okay, we know they Hercules, whatever, but yeah, it's like because because we've read all the tragedies about Hercules as well. It's kind of like he's this very big epic character that you don't really want to hear more of. He takes up a lot of space on stage. I mean, like both literally and metaphorically, like as a character. So it's kind of like it feels like you kind of need to let the servants have a bit of fun. Just because, why not? It's fun.
Liza, any final thoughts?
Just that I think, it's the comedy that carries this. It's written as a comedy. So I'm saying the obvious, that the comedy carries this play really well. It seems that the author must have known the people quite well that he was writing for. And they do have sort of different speech patterns, and which isn't always the case with these translated classical plays. The characters do seem like human beings, and they talk to each other like human beings, and they react to each other like human beings, which makes us believe in the play, and it engages us. Even the prologue comes on and doesn't declaim something lofty. He's just like, yeah, I know you weren't expecting to see a prologue. It's just, look, it's a bit old. So you sort of believe the prologue is a human being even. And that's what I like about this play, is the humanness of it. And I'm glad that I got to read it with all of you.
Right. Well, and indeed, anyone at home watching this, you can read plays along with us as well. There are sign-up sheets on our website, beyondshakespeare.org. We try to do several readings different times of the day across a week. So you can always join for the whole play or for bits of a play. We have evenings and afternoons. And yes, anyone can sign up and join. I just randomly assign parts to people. It's all hopefully egalitarian, and just sign up and join us if you so desire, and otherwise you can just keep watching these things. Well, there's at least another year's worth before the terrible incident happened and we stopped recording. So that's going to be absolutely fine. But till next time, all that remains is to thank all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. I've been your host, Robert Crighton, or have I? Has someone else been me? Can I be certain? Well, thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye.